Hi, everybody. My name is Sean Malott with the Central Florida Development Council, and today my guest is Dr. Devin Stevenson, president of Florida Polytechnic University. Dr. Stevenson recently took the helm as the second president of Florida Poly, the state's only public university dedicated 100% to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. He began his presidency in July 2024, coinciding with the university's 10th anniversary. As its second president, Stevenson is responsible for continuing Florida Poly's tradition of excellence and overseeing the university's continued growth. He is committed to expanding the university's state and national reputation as an innovative leader in higher education and graduating Florida's top engineers. Throughout his distinguished career, Stevenson has utilized his expertise in leading the design and implementation of academic programs and providing comprehensive leadership to achieve organizational missions. As a result, Stevenson has earned numerous awards from a variety of organizations throughout his illustrious career. Most recently, he served as the president of Northwest Florida State College, and today he resides in Lakeland with his wife, Judy. Welcome, Dr. Stevenson, and thank you for sitting down for our CFDC Investor Member Profile.
Sean, it's great to be with you today. You're one of the first people I met when I moved to Lakeland, and I'm honored to be affiliated with your organization and know you as a friend and a colleague.
Well, it's wonderful to have you here today. And first, if you could start, just tell us a little bit about your organization, Florida Poly, and what drew you to this position here.
Well, who would not want to be a part of the newest state university in the system? We're not the largest. We're not the smallest. I think one of the slogans our folks will say, we're small but mighty. So Florida Poly's been in existence for 10 years. We're the only public university that's really focused totally on STEM. And, STEM's been around a while, that terminology, but our focus is seriously on science, technology, engineering, and math. And I think our mantra and our goal for the institution, if you look at our mission and our vision and our real desire, it's to fill the great void of STEM jobs that exist right now. As we continue to grow the high-tech corridor, as we continue to grow Florida and the nation, it's moving very strongly to the demands of technology and what engineers and mathematicians really can do to help propel the economy forward. So I think just the fact that we are focused in that direction, not only does it make us unique, but it makes us invaluable to the state of Florida. So being unique is one thing, but being invaluable is another. I will tell you there is something different about our student body as well. As you know, if you come over to the campus, you're going to see a real vibrant kind of atmosphere. These students are very engaged in the life of the institution, and they're very smart. Our incoming class this year is the largest class that we've had, over 600. They average a GPA of 4.17.
Wow.
That's unbelievable,
huge.
isn't
That's
it?
Impressive.
The SAT score average is 1313, which is at the almost 90th percentile. And then the ACT score average is 30, which is at the 93rd percentile. So you can see that these are very bright students that are extremely creative and innovative, and they really like to be challenged by top flight faculty. So I will tell you that out of all of the universities, out of all 12 of the state universities, our graduates earn the highest salary 1 year out of graduation with the lowest debt of any university in the state of Florida. Now that says a lot. It says a great deal about fueling,
accolade. Yes,
fueling this economy, but the stats are true. The neat part I think about our institution is that 93% of the students are from Florida, and over 80% of them stay in Florida when they graduate. That's a statistic that you normally see in community or state colleges. The institution is very healthy in every respect. We're targeting 3,000 students by 2030. I think we could easily get there before then. We're doing great. Our enrollment's strong, great faculty. So all the stars, I believe, have aligned, and the phoenix is rising.
The university is just producing excellent results. And again, we're so thankful to have Florida Polytechnic in this area.
I agree, and you're right. everything's happening out there, from research and development to great teaching and learning. Students are exploring, and they're going to be pace setters. They're going to be the future leaders of technology in this world. And who knows? Right now, we may have the next Elon Musk on campus, or Jeff Bezos, or Zuckerberg. Who knows?
I'm certain of it. I mean, from what I've seen, the students are top quality, and that is the students that are coming out. They're definitely going to be some world changers within the organization.
Right.
So.
And let me also say, in this conversation we're having today, that our institution is not for everybody. Let's just face it. We were created to do something very specific. We're not open admission, open enrollment all the time. We have specific start times. We use predictive analytics to admit the classes. So we're not like every other institution. We're selective to some extent. We accept 46% of those that apply to the institution. And so the dynamics are different. We can't be like everybody else if we're going to do what we need to do to fuel this economy. Bottom line is, we're exclusive in that regard in this region and really across the state of Florida. We don't apologize for that. We celebrate that because the results, the return on the investment, has proven itself to be extremely good for the state of Florida. And I'm extremely excited about the future and partnering with you and other entities to do great things here.
And what's most exciting to you about this new role at the university?
I'm a highly engaged president. I like people, and I like to be around people. And for me, it's not really who gets the credit about anything that we do. It's just, let's make a difference and let's contribute. So I really enjoy the community engagement part of what I do. And for the last 10 weeks, I've stayed busy doing that. And it's a balancing act. It's a balancing act of getting to know your internal stakeholders, all of our faculty and staff and students. Mm-hmm. I mean, yesterday, we've got this really vibrant, what is it called? Nerf ball thing going on. I mean, it's like the humans.
On campus?
Yeah, with the students. So I come in the door, and these students are getting ready to do this human and zombie thing.
Oh, wow.
So I said, give me one of those guns. I put everything down, and I just started shooting them. I was just having a ball, watching these zombies laying on the ground. It was pretty neat. And then when I came out, all of them wanted a picture. They wanted a selfie, with the president. But that type of engagement is something that I like to do, not only internally, but externally. So that is a joy. I also will tell you that I love my office. The office in the IST, when I first came there, the very first week, we had only summer students. And I thought it was loud. That building, was designed by Santiago Calatrava, and it's very unique. And it's loud. It's very, very reverberant, ambient. And so I thought, I don't know if I'm going to be able to work here or not in this environment. And then the fall started, and it got like 5 times louder. And I'm thinking, I can really get used to this. This is the sound of students and student success. Right. So I hear all the noise because the library, which is not a quiet library, our library is most unique. We have no books. Sure. It's all digital.
Right, yeah.
And my office is just outside of sort of the student commons area. So it's loud, but it is a joyful loud. It is the sound of progress, the sound of success. So I love that office, and I love the building we're in. Some people say that they'll drive by that building and they think that it's a spaceship or an orange juicer. Some call it that, or a mega church. Yeah. You don't know till you come on campus, but I can tell you it's one of the 16th, voted as number one of the 16th most beautiful buildings in the world. And it's one of 20 of Calatrava's very, very special buildings. It's won more than, I think, 20 global awards. And so I really love being in that building. It's so
a magnet.
Different.
It's a magnet for interest, right?
It is. So you love that. The other thing I want to say to you, Sean, is that I love living in Lakeland. Now, you have more traffic than I anticipated. But that sign of traffic is a sign of growth.
It's popularity.
And exactly. So when I read about the city, as I was deciding whether or not I was going to apply, I saw it had about 120,000+ people. And I knew it would be larger than Destin, Florida. and larger than Fort Walton Beach, Florida, but I had no idea that it was as robust an economy, as vibrant, with people that really want to see it be successful. So I think another joy, one thing I really like here, is the city of Lakeland and Polk County. It is a great place to live. The people are wonderful. It seems as though people work together well here, and that is a recipe for much success.
Yeah, no, I think you're right on that. I mean, again, there's so many people that want to see the area be successful in all avenues, and it's about, connecting into, economic advancement for the area. And that's why we're so pleased that you're at the helm at Florida Poly and what Florida Poly means to this area.
Good.
So I know you've only been at the university for a short period of time, but just kind of curious if there are any, programs that you would like to highlight, from the university standpoint.
Sure. Absolutely. Programs drive our success. I will tell you the one thing that I've been impressed about this institution is that they have built programs that are relevant. And so many times in higher ed, we've heard the governor talk about it. I mean, how many people are going to get a job from a program that specializes in general zombie studies, or some crazy kind of, major that doesn't yield a high demand, high wage job. And so the one thing I've been impressed about is that the building of the programs here over the last 10 years have been those that have been relevant to the economy, the future economy. The other thing that's been impressive about the previous leadership here has been that they were willing to modify, to be agile and flexible and modify the curriculum to meet industry demands. And you don't always see that in a university. You see that a lot in state colleges. They do a great job. Dr. Falconetti here at Polk State does a great job with moving, being agile. That's the one thing I will tell you about Florida Poly. It is a very agile, responsive, transformational, flexible entity. And so they built wonderful, wonderful programs in environmental engineering. We're now being called on by other countries of the world to help with some of the challenges that exist there. Civil engineering as well. Our cybersecurity department is one of the best. And of course, we do more than our share of artificial intelligence, like you and I talked about earlier.
Yeah, critical.
We offer about 12 undergraduate degrees and 5 master's degrees, and we're building beyond that. The one area that I think the institution, and I do not want to use the word weak because there's no way that Florida Poly is weak, but one probably underserved area is in the science and the technology area. Now, certainly cybersecurity and AI touch on technology, but the science areas, we have a great physics program. We have an engineering physics program led by Dr. Ian Bentley. But we need to do more in healthcare. And it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out that healthcare is growing in Polk County. What have we got? The coming of 2 new medical centers. We've got a wonderful Lakeland Regional Center.
All the major hospital groups are in the area.
They're here. So why isn't Florida Poly doing more in pharmaceutical technology, engineering, biomedical science? Why aren't we growing the healthcare sector and helping the hospitals? And that's going to be one of my goals here, to do that. I think that is low-hanging fruit for us and an area that we can grow. And an area that a very vibrant, needed sector of this region desperately needs. So I do believe the healthcare sector is something we're interested in. We're also looking at what we're doing with online graduate programs. It seems to me that an organization like Florida Poly, that's a #1 STEM organization, would have some type of online or hybrid delivery. We tested the waters this past summer with our Phoenix Rising program. We did a hybrid model with these students, very successful. And we believe if Stanford and Georgia Tech and others can use an online modality and do it with excellence and high rigor, high level of rigor, that we can do it as well, especially for working adults. We need to be able to offer something that working adults can benefit from. So an online degree program in engineering management or management with an engineering focus could be very, 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 very popular, we believe, here in the region. I know when I broach this subject with faculty members, they will tell me, they'll look right back and say, hey, if Stanford can do it, we can do it, and we can do it with excellence. So I think we have to do that. if we're going to be successful. But the key for us, I think, is to uphold the rigor and the quality.
Sure.
When I came here, there were a lot of people that wanted to champion us and still do as the MIT of the South. And while traditionally I've not really wanted to aspire to be like somebody else,
sure.
we do want that quality, but we need to define who we are.
Create your own brand.
Our own brand and be our own brand to the public. Another thing I think that in programs that we see, a lot of folks call us the best kept secret in Florida. And that's an indictment because we're among the best. Our stats are the best. The U.S. News and World Report, for the third time in a row, named us the #1 college in the Southeast. I mean, thank you, but we've got to do a better job, So what I'm encouraging our people to do is to get the word out about our programs. And so we're infusing our marketing and branding dollars out there to open what we call the admissions funnel. Right now, we have about 30,000 plus inquiries a year at the institution. To get where we need to go, we need to have 90,000 at the top of that funnel.
Okay.
So we've got to get the word out and share with them about our programs. When I ask students, and I do this all the time, why did you come here? They will say, number one, because it's an excellent institution and I wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to be a data analyst. I wanted to be someone that was involved in technology, regardless. And that they come here for a purpose. And I think we must do a better job getting the word out as to who we are.
I think the message is starting to resonate, but I think the ability to continue to, the reach, the world again is I think something that falls right in line with what the university can accomplish.
Exactly.
I look forward to being a champion,
you will be,
along with your team and the community of Florida Poly's success. So kind of shifting gears a little bit, kind of more on the, the economic prosperity, topic. And we talked about economic advancement for this area. So tell us a little bit about, your interest and your partnership in the economic development world and CFDC, because you've definitely been as a university, a great supporter and partner with the CFDC. Can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Absolutely. So throughout my career, I think I've understood the very valuable lesson in partnering to do great things. So I've been involved in economic development since the very first day that I came on board. So my first experience was in Alabama. And I'll tell you this quick story.
Sure.
And our institution was a part of the Alabama, let me get this right, Department of Economic Development, in their quest under, at that time, Governor Jim Folsom, in getting Mercedes-Benz to Vance, Alabama.
Oh, yes, sure.
You heard about it. Everybody around the
absolutely.
world. It's the first time Mercedes-Benz had ventured, I think, outside of Germany. And I'll never forget the day we were told that Andre Rechler was coming, who was the head of, at that time, Mercedes-Benz. And that he was coming in his helicopter, one of those Sikorsky helicopters, one of those major, big, loud helicopters. And he landed right in our front parking lot. We cleared it. He landed. The guy gets out. He's about 7 feet tall. He's, a big figure. And he immediately said something to the fact, we can't be here if it were not for your institution and institutions like you. That resonated within me. There's no way the economy can grow without a skilled workforce. And it just sort of locked into my spirit. And then I realized that I had to be, if I wanted to be a president, I had to be engaged externally and connect the institution to the community. So from day one, with my work in Missouri, that work, of course, the work in Alabama led to the coming of Mercedes-Benz and Vance, which is a huge economic driver for the state of Alabama. And then in Missouri, we did the same thing. We championed the Beltline and the continuous work from St. Louis all the way down to Little Rock, Arkansas, with a major thoroughfare, an interchange 4-lane that would move quickly. And I was heavily involved in that. In the state of Kentucky, we had 28 coal miners lose their jobs due to EPA regulations. And our role was to revitalize that economy. So we set up coding programs. We taught them how to splice fiber optic cable. And I became a part of economic development. Then on to Niceville, Florida, and Destin, the same thing. Heavily involved with Nathan Sparks, with the
yes,
Okaloosa.
he reached out, right?
Yeah,
it was great to hear
Okaloosa
from him and his
Economic
support. I know
Development
he misses you in that area, but it's our benefit here.
We were very, very engaged in that process. And here I'm depending on you and others, Steve Scruggs and others that are in economic
there's
development.
An entire economic development community that wants to rally behind.
To utilize us.
Right.
And open the door for us, because I really believe that's important. Now, we've been a partner with you since 2013, and we want to continue to do that. I know that Maggie, everybody, I don't even have to say her last name. Everybody knows Maggie. She was your
Maggie's wonderful.
I believe she was your board chair.
Yes, past chair, correct.
Past chair.
Yes,
And
former
so
chair and past chair currently.
That connection is vital for us. It's invaluable. And so we have to be engaged, and that requires you to do, I think, really 4 things. You have to look and listen.
Right.
And so to do that, you've got to be involved. And thanks for letting me speak to your investors recently at the air. That was phenomenal at the airport. I don't know how many people were there, but the room was full, probably 100 or more. And I had the opportunity to connect, and that's invaluable. And would you believe some of that is now paying off with visits to the institution about how do we connect afterwards?
Great. That's what we want. That's the goal.
And so I think we have to understand, and the entire leadership team at our institution has to understand, you can't sit out on that 172 acres and expect to be successful in the region and expect to find the opportunities, because they exist. When I wake up every morning, I say to myself, help me see the possibilities today that others don't see. Help me see the opportunities. Sure, there are challenges in all of those, but you have to be looking.
Right.
You have to be aggressively looking. And I know that you all have been instrumental in helping us connect with the Williams Corporation that owns a lot of the property, I think over 4,500 acres around us.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you, Sean, we cannot be successful with the acreage that we have now. We have to have more. My plans are big. The research park is big. There's one other big project that's coming that we want to anchor, but I'm frankly concerned that the campus property we have right now, we don't have enough room to do it. And when that one firm comes with the research piece of that, it is going to spawn other growth. And what are we going to do? So the relationship with the Williams Corporation that you all have helped foster has been invaluable. And so I had the opportunity a few weeks ago in an all-wheel drive to ride around a lot of the acreage, a lot of the Williams property.
Great.
And it was interesting. It gave me a really good bird's eye view of what's out there.
I've heard there's some good fishing holes as well. You
better believe it. Lots. My son wanted to know about them, believe me. But we had the opportunity to look and see what, there's an old term in a book called Anti-Fragile. It's a great book. And there's one chapter in there that talks about a Japanese theory called Jinsu Butsu. And the theory says, if you have an opportunity, if you have a problem, if you have a challenge, go see it for yourself. Don't wait for somebody else to tell you. And that's what the staff's been doing. They've been taking me for me to see for myself. You have to see it so you've got the right perspective. What do they say? There's 2 sides to every story, and the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Well, this model in Anti-Fragile says you need to go see it for yourself, so you know really what's true. And I heard the theory behind the phosphate mining, behind the land that could be used, how the overburden is used to fill back on to the property and mitigate the issues that come with phosphate mining. It was phenomenal. It was absolutely great. So I do believe that you, through our people that have been connected, Maggie and others, have helped us go see for ourselves what the opportunities are. Now, our concern at this point is that we're at 85% capacity in our housing. We are now at 1,800 students. And if we don't build, what are we going to do? If we don't build housing within the next year and a half to 2 years, we're going to be locked in.
Yeah, you need
it's a chicken and the egg kind of deal. You see. So when we talk about economic growth, we can continue to fuel the fire, but we've got to do some things intentionally. And that is my goal, to get that done. But we're going to have more property to do that. That's just, I mean, we just can't do it on the acreage that we have.
Right. Well, then let's talk a little bit about their strategic priorities related to growth and economic impact. That kind of, again, I think segues well into that category of conversation as well.
Let me say to you that this institution was created. And if you look back at all of the data that's there, at all of the documents that were written, we were created to be an economic driver. And that is a critical piece of the work that Florida Poly and any university should be about. If we live just where we are and expect people to come to us, it's not going to happen. If we're going to drive the economy, we've got to be out and about and doing it aggressively. I mean, I don't mind telling you, there are days I go home and I'm really, really tired.
I imagine.
Yeah, really tired from.
You're in a sprint right now.
Yeah, I'm in a sprint.
And the university is a marathon, but there's a sprint at the beginning there.
But there is a sprint, probably for the first year.
Yeah.
At least. And so I have really emboldened that idea that we are an economic driver. And we're going to be an economic driver. And so sometimes you have to sort of pivot. You have to pivot people and leaders thinking about how that works. Because a lot of folks just want things to come to them. But that's not the way it happens. You have to go out and find those convergent points. So our work has been about touching the high-tech industry and finding where those opportunities are. And we are vital drivers of economic development. I will tell you, we're about talent cultivation. We're about innovation, ideation. We're about community growth, real estate development, industry partnerships, expanding the tax base, all of those things, and doing impactful research. And I know that you all have heavily been involved in focusing on what that area could be as an innovative district. A district
the Central
of
Florida
innovation
District.
Yeah.
Correct.
And so I believe that encompasses lots of things. That encompasses everything from logistics to research to the development to a robust residential area and commerce, all happening like its own little city, its own little district, its own little municipality. And I mean, we don't want to be our municipality, but we need to be
the elements to be able to be successful.
Be a city within a city, and to be really good. And here's what I would say to you. We've proven the ROI. We make right now over $300 million. That's the latest stat. Annual economic impact. Now I know it's more than that.
Yeah,
and we're in the middle of a Lightcast economic development study right now to determine that and get that up to date. But we have been, I think, the last 10 years moving forward. I think we've made an economic impact, but nothing like we're going to make in the next 10 years. So when I interviewed for the job, it was obvious to me that the first 10 years were foundational. A great group of people working to build a very strong foundation for Florida Poly. But you can't just keep building the foundation. Eventually, you have to move out and advance and expand and grow and augment.
Right.
And I think that is the season that we're in right now. These next 10 years are going to be characterized by advancement and growth. And you come now and you will see it.
Yeah.
I know we had people on campus from Select Florida, and they said, we were here like 3 years ago, and we can't believe what's happened. This is unbelievable. And of course, everybody came to see the Calatrava building.
Sure,
that's the
of
one.
course, yes. And we need a hotel nearby. We agree.
There you desperately need a hotel. But I think we're going to, over the next 10 years, we've built a foundation. Now we're building the pieces of the puzzle and connecting them to do some phenomenal things. We're now engaged with the Department of Commerce in very high level collaboration. Secretary Perdue with the Department of Transportation has a major initiative that he wants us to be involved with that will definitely impact this area. We know the work that Brightline is doing. We're very interested in that. We have professors right now that are working on the I-4, I-frame, automation corridor between Tampa and Orlando on I-4. So we're going to be involved, but I think the opportunities are going to be limitless. And it's going to come down to how much we can do. I really think. Now we're poised. And as this president, I have to figure out how do we position ourselves to be able to do more to help the state grow this area.
Right. Well, again, what's possible is really, limitless in the area. So let's talk. Go ahead.
Before we go there, there's one more thing that I didn't mention, and this came out as you heard in our strategic planning summit. Thank you very much for coming. You were a very important voice.
Glad to be included. Thank you.
And as I understand, that may have been one of the first times that has been done like that, where you have the internal stakeholders together in such a large capacity, talking into the life of the institution. But out of that came what we believed all along, that folks believe that, and they're committed to the development of some type of research park into the area out there that would draw businesses and high-tech industry. And I just want you to know that that is what we believe is low-hanging fruit, and that some of the work that we're doing now, we've already brought IFF, International Flavors and Fragrances, a Fortune 500 company there. But there's more, and we're right on the edge of announcing this new thing that's coming. But I do believe the research park can play a very important role in attracting companies to this area.
Yeah, it definitely ups the competitiveness of the university and what's possible.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about partnerships with local businesses and government entities. We know you're doing a lot in that realm.
Absolutely. Let me say the most fun I've had, and I've had some fun times. Believe me, there have been days that we've had to be very serious, but then there's been days that we've laughed. And if you don't laugh at yourself, you'll cry, right? So we have had a wonderful time. But one of the most enlightening experiences I had was to visit with America's Sheriff, Grady Judd.
Oh, right. Yes.
There's nobody like him. And I was actually looking forward to it before I came here. It was funny because as the announcement came that I was going to be the new president, people were texting me from all over the country saying, "You're going to go down to Polk County where that sheriff is. We love him. He's popular." And so
he needs to be on a recruiting material.
Yes.
All levels.
He could probably really help me grow that university, But the one thing that Grady is a visionary. It's amazing that he's been there so successfully as long as he has, but he still thinks forward. And all successful people think forward. I often say if you just continually look back, you'll trip into your future. And so Grady's one of those that looks forward, but uses history and the past to as a frame so that you don't make the same mistakes going forward. But he contacted us several months ago about working with him because we have some of the top AI professors and some of the top cybersecurity professors around. They're experts in what they do. Asking us, number one, he said, I'm creating a cybercrime, a cybersecurity crime division. I'll get it right in a minute. And we need help. We need your help in helping us frame how AI is impacting. We have some great cybersecurity professors who are wonderful at artificial intelligence. And we said to him, yes, we'll do that. And he said, and there's one more thing. I need help with AI helping in decision-making. For example, a deputy goes out or several deputies go out on a call. They've got lots of data, lots of information, but they got so much, it's difficult to make a decision with all of this data that's coming in. And he wants good data-informed decisions. So how do you use artificial intelligence to gather data very quickly and possibly give a deputy an answer or give them maybe a plan of action, or at least a couple that, are framed by all of the scenarios, these external scenarios that impact that decision making. And we said, absolutely, we want to be a part of that. And so right now, embedded within his cybersecurity division are Florida Poly professors and student interns who are helping them develop what he believes is the very first sort of AI-driven discovery kind of project and initiative in this deal. I think it could be a national model, and we're very, very excited about that. The other thing that we do with industry, I think, so well is our student internship program. And whether it be at Saddle Creek Logistics or with Publix or with NASA or with Tesla, we have students embedded into those internships. And I know you're aware of this, but the public may not be aware that all of our capstone projects, which are done by our senior students, have an industry partner. So we're locked in very heavily. We've worked with over 300 high-tech companies and from all over the region to do this. We've also had wonderful collaboration with the city of Lakeland, with Polk County, with Auburndale, and the entire region, and all the municipalities here in Polk County have been phenomenal with us. So partnerships are great. I would be remiss if I didn't say that very early on in part of my sprint was getting to know all of the legislators. And I knew that the legislative session is coming. The legislature will meet. The good part is it's a late session, so that gives me a little more time. But during June, when I was selected, but before I officially started, I had lunch with Jennifer, Representative Kennedy, Representative Tomko, and Senator Burton. It was really good to get to know them and for them to hear the heartbeat of the organization, sort of where we're headed. I also had lunch with Congressman Scott Franklin to talk about federal initiatives, which our institution has not been as involved with other than the National Science Foundation grants.
It seems like there's an opportunity there.
So working with business and industry and with our government officials is going to be critical.
Right. Well, do you see any economic trends or or changes in the educational industry or others that you think will be impactful or that the university can leverage?
Oh, absolutely. I will tell you that for years in leadership, we've talked about how successful you need to be as a transformational leader. And then there's been a lot of yapping about, and that's my old Alabama, yapping about transactional leadership. We've talked, you got to be those. And after all of this time, I believe while that may be partially true, change leadership is where it is. And if you're not a change leader, if you don't know how to manage change, you're not going to be successful. And you and I both know throughout history, higher education administrators have messed up more stuff than anybody. University presidents, college presidents, colleagues, and we've been guilty of messing up stuff. I mean, we did.
We're human.
We're human. We just we don't get it right. But a lot of that has been because we don't know how to manage change, and because we don't use good emotional intelligence. And that is, learning how to manage ourselves, be self-aware, and yet at the same time, scan the environment to understand what's out there and how we fit in. So I will tell you the environment has changed, and it's time now to start thinking for a change. And so many times, many of my colleagues down through the years haven't done that. They've made mistakes because they didn't use good emotional intelligence. They didn't self-aware. They weren't self-aware. They didn't understand what their decisions, what they could result. What are the consequences of the decisions? And so I think now more than ever, as I work with my contemporary colleagues in higher ed, that we're seeing a change. We are seeing a pivot. And now everyone realizes that things are much different and that we have to be open, flexible, available, and adaptable. So that's the biggest trend, and that is leadership is having to pivot. Throughout my life, I had heard that the university dynamic, the university sector was slow to change, slow to move. And sure enough, it was. But by virtue of this economy that is so fast, by things moving so fast, universities have been propelled into a new speed. And we must now operate at the speed of business. We cannot operate at the speed of higher ed as we used to know it. I think AI, cybersecurity, autonomous vehicles, electric vehicles, all of these things are changing the way that we look at things. You know, I don't mind telling you the way people purchase now. It's a change time. Look at the proverbial technology that's happening right now with being able to sit down on your iPad and buy something and wait a few days and run out and look at the front door and there it is laying on your front porch. I mean, that's technology. Right. And if we don't ascribe to it, if we don't effectively respond to it, we are not going to be successful. So what that's doing to us in higher ed is cause us to constantly look at our curriculum because that curriculum cannot stay the same. I think about one of our professors, Dr. Mohammed Rashid, who's been here a while. Would you believe right here in Lakeland, he is the renowned leader in electrical engineering. Okay. He's written more than 130 technical articles about it. He's edited the textbook that's used by more than 50 universities around the world. And he lives here and he works at Florida Poly. He is, in fact, I had breakfast with him on Friday morning, the 14th of June, downtown at the Terrace. He's such an interesting character. I just wanted to talk to him. And he had his new book, the new edition of the book. And he said, this is the new book, but I'm editing it for next year. And so the guy's like on this never-ending quest of continuous improvement.
Yes, and multiple streams of income.
And
there you go.
That's exactly right. And that's where we are now. We're in that change cycle. I can write something today to present to you in this podcast. I can go back to the institution and some number, some new thing has happened, and it causes me to have to update this thing. So my talking points are live talking points. They're not old. This opportunity to talk to you today, this information I have with me is scripted for today.
Right.
Now, tomorrow
could be different.
It'll be different. It will be different. So I think that's the biggest thing. And that is everyone has to realize if we cannot respond to change, we're going to be lost. We're going to be lost, Sean. And we just got to be ready for it. I grew up in a wonderful home. My father was an Alabama highway patrolman who later became the assistant department of the Alabama Department of Labor. My mother was a professional working in industry, and they would always tell me, there are three definites in life. There are three constants that you'll always have: death, taxes, and change. And don't ever forget it. And they were so right, because this world is a world about change. 20 years ago, would I've ever thought about using OneDrive where I can get all my files anywhere, anytime, and edit them? No, heck no. Would I be able to use, my telephone as my GPS, as my messenger, as everything? Could it check my heart rate, all those things? No, but I've adapted to the change. I've flexed to the change. And I think for higher ed, that's what we have to do. The other thing is, I think we've realized that there are programs that we have that may have been created 7 years ago, 5 years ago, and now they're not as relevant. We have to be willing to lay those on the shelf and retool. And if we're not going to be successful. There's so much competition out there. We're the only state university with a home here in Polk County and in this immediate region. And we know now more than ever as a STEM university that we've got to be on the bleeding edge. Some people like to live on the cutting edge. I like to live on the bleeding edge because that's where more of the action's happening. And if you if you don't live on the edge, you're taking up too much room. So we like to get on the edge and innovate. And I think that's the biggest thing that higher ed's going to have to respond to. People cannot articulate and innovate and espouse or demonstrate as they did 10 years ago or 5 years ago. We have to constantly be looking forward and saying, what do we do today that helps us be successful tomorrow?
Yeah, that's excellent. Well, let's talk about future plans. And what do you see as like the long-term vision for Florida Poly?
That's great. Well, let me say, number one, we cannot stay where we are as far as our enrollment and our outreach. We've got to be more robust. So we're sitting at about 1,800 students now. We need to be the sweet spot for us, I believe, anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 students. Okay. We can get there. We're already planning it. We've got a new structure in our enrollment management plan in place. We're going to expand how we recruit and where we recruit. We're predicting that next fall, we will have 1,925 students. That's what we believe can happen. Now, we can accommodate that number in housing by doing a little creative work. By scheduling appropriately with the new Went engineering building that's being built. We're actually going to complete the second floor of that building. It was not in the initial plan, but we are going to complete that second floor because we've got to have the room. We can accommodate that number. But when you get beyond that point, we're looking at that conflict semester of being September 26. That's when it all comes down. Are we going to have the housing? Do we have the classroom space? Where are we there? So growth at the institution is important. We need to be at that number, at the 3,000 mark, as soon as we can. We need to get our Student Achievement Center built. It is going to be a 180,000 square foot building, the largest building we've ever built, 3 stories. That will house all of our wraparound services, our career counseling, and that will give us an opportunity to move all of our personnel that are located on Poly South. I don't know if you ever heard of Poly South. Poly South is located on the Polk State campus, south on 98. So once the SAC is built, and by the way, we got our first tranche of money this past legislative session there, $5.7 million. Thank you. To start the architectural and engineering. But this year we're going for $44 million because we've got to get the building built to head off this oncoming train that I call that's coming right at us. And with that, we'll free up the wellness center now that houses food service. Food service will move into the SAC, and that building then will be freed up for a beautiful remodel where we'll bring all administrators from Poly South. We're going to move the president's office in there as well. So I can be, as I said earlier, amongst everyone. And so we've got to get that done. That immediately is in place. We need to build another academic building very soon. It needs to be at least 3 stories to accommodate. There are a couple of other plans that I'm not able to talk about right now. I'm not sworn under an NDA, but I just don't need to talk about them yet. But from day one, we began talking about 2 vital pieces. Again, we've got to have room for them. But those would then, within themselves, bring in industry to Polk County that's really high level, high demand, high wage jobs. So we want to be a part of that. It's critically important. So I think enrollment growth, infrastructure growth, property, it's just vital for us to do. You know, we have 300 plus acres that we own outside of our main campus there. But it is separated by Research Way and University Boulevard.
Sure. Yes.
And so
down the way.
That's down the way. Now, as far as building a research park, you could do it there. and it not have as bad effect. But the whole idea is to have a contiguous plot of property where professors and students can go into the research park without having to go across,
this connectivity for the faculty, for the students.
Right. Two roads to be able to do it. So I think getting that research park built, but getting land to be able to do it is going to be critically important for us. And we want to expand our relationships with companies like the Fortune 500 companies, International Flavors and Fragrances. We definitely want to do that. That's going to be important to us. So building the partnerships and then doing something with the partnerships. A lot of people are good at taking an airplane off, but some can't land it. And so it's good to build a partnership, but if you can't land it into some tangible visual happening that benefits all of us, then it's it's a waste of time in so many words. So when we look at a partnership, we look at what are the opportunities. Do they really exist? Is this a possibility that will, quote, work? And if it will work, then let's pursue it beyond. And the projects that we're involved in right now in their embryonic stages will work. Okay. And we're excited about them.
Well, we believe it's coming together.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what role the community in Polk County can play in the success of the university.
Well, let me say first that I haven't seen, nor have I worked in a county that has been as accommodating to me as a leader and with a voice to say, how can I help you? What can I do to help you? So I think right there, the magic for Polk County is that you all, through time, have built this environment and this culture that says, let us help you and let us bring the partners together and make things happen. So I would say to the county, to the cities, that we're going to be calling on you, them, and we want them to call on us. I mean, my phone line is hardly ever busy, too busy to take a phone call. And you can reach me on email. I'm glad to share contacting me. And then if I'm the person that needs to make the connection, great. If somebody else at the institution needs to make that connection, great. But we're going to be about it. So what I'm saying is I want people to call on us and let's see if we fit, if we literally fit that. It may be that it takes a partnership between Florida Poly and Florida Southern, or between Florida Poly and Polk State. There are many job growth funds that are available, but a university can't apply for a job growth fund. But Polk County can. Right. The city of Lakeland can. Correct. The city of Auburndale can. And so can Polk State. So what would it be like to have a partnership of 2 or 3 entities for some of the job growth dollars? So what I'm telling you is that we're open as much as we ever have been at the institution to be able to listen and come together and talk. And I've done that a lot. And I want to continue to do that. I want us to be vital. So the partners that may be listening today, whether it be the city, and I know that Lakeland, the city manager, wants to talk with me, and I want the opportunity to meet with the city council, the county commission, and let them know from my heart, face to face, that we want to make a difference, and that we're looking for projects and opportunities that will fuel the economy here. So I think the message is, let's do it.
Yeah, well, that's refreshing. And definitely we appreciate the time that you've sat with us today for the CFTC investment member profile. Is there anything else you would like to share that you didn't get to share in this conversation, or details about how people can reach out to you or find out more about the university?
We have opportunity like never before. I mean, let's face it, Polk County's on fire and Florida's on fire. Not like California's on fire. I mean, they've got a lot of wildfires, right? But we're on fire when it comes to the economy. Yes. Let's just face it.
We're in an enviable position. That's for sure.
I'm telling you. And so what I would say is, let's think beyond the normal, and let's think even beyond what the possibilities are, I'm going to tell you a story. Several years ago, my wife and I took our young son to New York. We've been about 28 times to catch Broadway shows. We always go after Christmas, and we love to go up there. It's we got on an elevator one morning to go down and spend the day. And we were like on the 13th floor, the 15th floor, got on the elevator, went down about 8 floors, and Coach K, the great basketball coach from Duke, got on the elevator. I knew who he was. He was dressed in his blue suit, as he always wore. And my son poked me in the side, and he said, "That's Coach K. That's Coach K." And I said, "Yeah, I know. And so Coach K was really kind to us. He spoke to us and asked how we were doing. And the elevator dropped about 4 more floors. And when it did, the door opened, and this group of about 8 or 10 high school students, I'll never forget it, Sean, with green T-shirts, stepped on. And they had the name of their high school on the front. They all got in the elevator, and they turned around backwards to face the elevator door. And it was the caption on the back of the T-shirt that got me. And it read, "Why do we say the sky's the limit when there are footprints on the moon?" And Coach K looked at it and he said, "Now that right there is something." And he took his phone out, made a picture of it. I memorized it. And I thought all my life, so many people in the work that we're in talk about the sky is the limit. There's possibilities. Let's reach the sky. But we've got footprints on the moon. And in a couple of years, we're going to have somebody on Mars. So why do we say the sky's the limit when footprints are on the moon? So I'm a big thinker. I'm a consummate optimist, not a pessimist. I always see a glass half full. And my final word, I think, is that we all need to think big. Now's the time to think big. And there's no idea that's too big. I'm from Alabama, so, the Crimson Tide uses the big elephant as its sort of mascot, Big Al. And I learned a long time, the only way to eat an elephant is one toe at a time, right? Just consume it one toe at a time. And that's what you do with a big opportunity. Just bite it off one piece at a time. That's what the staff's been doing with me the past 10 weeks, is letting me just one person at a time, one group at a time. Just get me in front of them and let me talk about how I don't want any credit. I just want to make things happen, and I want to work with people. So there's the entree. You can get in touch directly with me at dstevenson@floridapoly.edu. And the Stevenson is with a PH, dstevenson@floridapoly.edu.
Well, Dr. Stevenson, thank you so much for joining us today and these refreshing words.
Great. Thank you, Sean. Great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you here.